Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Vieria. Thanks for joining us today. We're joined today by Neil Patrick Harris. That's the way you do things?
That's my gang sign.
That's the way you do things. Well, in a series of unfortunate events, you play I don't even know how to describe, because you play Count Olaf, but you play so many other things.
True.
Talk about what this character has allowed you to sort of explore as an actor that other roles haven't.
Well, it's kind of that dark, creepy dream gig, because I'm playing Count Olaf, who is a character that's already been established in the literary world from the Lemony Snicket books. So my source material is really strong, because I can go to the books, I can look at the images. We're trying to be as faithful to the books as possible. So the structure of each book has him donning some disguise that apparently everyone is fooled by except the Baudelaire children.
Yes.
And so that it's an interesting hat on a hat, pardon the pun, because I wear hats sometimes, but more so I'm playing Olaf, who's a bad actor, and thinks he's a good actor, and then he's donning disguises as a different character, so those need to be fully realized enough to be watchable, but certainly not so full and complete and layered that he looks like a good actor. So
How hard is it to play a bad actor? Is it really hard?
It's remarkably freeing.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I don't have any, if I do something bad in a take, or if
You could just be like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do.
That's intentional. So anything I do that's awful is actually good. Which in the show we do some musical numbers and random things, and so normally I would want to be very
singer.
Precise and very clean in every take to be good, but when things go wrong, which they inevitably do, it's almost better. And I say it was intentional.
How about, you get to yell at kids too, which must be somewhat cathartic.
It's fun to yell at teenagers, not in life, but in the show.
And you're in disguise, so no one, when they see you out in public, is like, this guy.
Oh, that's a very good point, actually, because I've
like
talked to some people who look like themselves and play villainous people on TV shows or in movies, and they have said before that people will come up to them and assume that's who they are in real life.
Yeah.
So the prosthetics and everything, I guess, removes me, but it does allow, I think, for kind of fearlessness, because I don't look like myself, so I'm not seeing myself all day long and judging my own facial expressions, but I'm really looking like someone totally like me and behaving in ways that I never would behave in otherwise. So yeah, it's cool. Shouting at the kids is fun. There's the little girl, Presley, who plays Sunny Baudelaire. I think she's, 3 years old now? And so in season 1 and season 2, she was tiny. And I had to shout at the 3 of them sometimes. And now she doesn't want much to do with me. I've had to really work it around. I've had to hang out with her.
Are you bringing lollipops? Like, what are you doing?
For sure, no, I've had to hang out with her as Neil. I've had to hang out with her as Olaf, but not with all the wardrobe on, and slowly ingratiate myself towards her. Because in the scenes, I'm just pointed and screaming.
Well, and
veins in my neck going
It is such a darker version than this other famous character that kids have come to know as Olaf in Frozen. Totally different.
I didn't think about that. Yes, we are the yin and the yang of the Olafian nomenclature.
What was your first introduction to this book series?
I hadn't read them at all until this project came around. So I was asked if I would be interested, and I knew of them, but I was committed to Harry Potter, and they were kind of out at the same time, and both fantastical worlds, I thought. So I stuck with Harry Potter, kind of the way when your friends tell you to binge watch a show, but it's season 3 of the show, and you start at season 1.
I thought you were going to say Backstreet Boys are in sync, but I like that too.
I like where you're going with this. Go on.
No. We always had to pick in middle school.
And so what did you choose?
In sync for sure.
Why? Justin?
JC's a great singer and Justin's a good dancer.
And what?
Do you have differing opinions?
No, I totally concur, but it seems like you're subtly digging the Backstreet Boys. You're not into the singability of the Backstreet Boys? The Carter?
No, thank you, but no.
You couldn't even name a Backstreet Boy, could you?
I could.
Okay, name a second one.
Brian Luttrell.
Look at you.
Okay, you name a third one.
Shemp. That's not it.
This is, yeah.
Is it Curly? Sorry, Curly.
This is our genius junior, like just naming.
Nailing
random. I don't even know where I was going with that.
I was talking about. Something very
Harry Potter or Lemony Snicket.
Yes, so then the series came around. Would I be interested in doing it? It was going to be 3 seasons, all in, Netflix, big production, very Sonnenfeld. And so then I thought it was important to start reading the books.
Yeah.
So I read one and loved it. Not the company line, I loved the material. I really did like that it takes place in a non-specified time period, that the kids are smart, that it encourages and kind of, in a literary way, glamorizes books and intelligence, and there's a lot of tactile explanation of things, that the kids are smarter than the adults is really, I think, effective. So I really like the way Daniel Handler writes. His sentence structure and stuff was impressive to me. So I banged through the books very quickly, and here I am.
Because visually, like the way they translated it, it is like sort of what you see in your mind when you're reading them.
Good.
It's impressive.
I appreciate that.
Do you think you'll let your kids read them when they're older?
They've watched the series,
Is it
and I'd
scary
certainly
to
let them read them when they're older.
Yeah.
But I think they're just learning to read right now.
Yeah,
so
obviously.
they're
They're 7.
they're reading Magic Misfits
Nice.
instead of
Good
Series of
plug.
Unfortunate Events. Plug. They
I
actually
wish
are.
we had it here to plug it, but
I
yes,
know,
that's
right?
your children's book.
Yeah.
What was it like writing that?
It was actually, I thought it would be simpler than it was, because I thought it's a middle grade young reader book, mainly for 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And I wanted, again, sort of like Daniel Handler, to have the sentence structure be informative, to teach specific vocabulary words and explain what they are, and to teach magic tricks and stuff. But then I felt a little bit of responsibility, because these are the first books that they'll be reading, so I wanted to make sure that the inclusion, that the morals, that the diversity, that the larger takeaways would be good. So there was a little responsibility, which made it a little trickier to read, or to write. Not to read, I hope. There's 4 books. Finished the second one, working on the third right now.
Okay.
So.
That's great. I mean,
they're awesome.
did it feel like entirely different than Choose Your Own Adventure?
Oh, my autobiography?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like structural changes. While I like plays, I love immersive theater. You know, while I like fiction, I love a Choose Your Own Adventure book, where it's not only a different way to read something, say, but it's also a different way to ponder how they created it. I would always read the Choose Your Own Adventure books from the 80s and stick my fingers in all the different pages and try and figure out what the tree was to make the book, which is remarkably difficult.
That is.
I feel the same way about Sleep No More and Cirque du Soleil and stuff. I'm a structure hoe.
All about it. Structure hoe, I like that. Well, so with Count Olaf, like you said, you play different characters. Walk me through what the transformation process is like.
It's super duper technical, and they've gotten really good at it. We film with big HD cameras, obviously, because it's the digital age. So all of the prosthetics has to be incredibly seamless and up, to the human eye up close. And so I start my day in the makeup effects trailer. 2 great women named Caitlin and Bree put the prosthetic piece on, the nose on, and that takes a lot of gluing and stretching and getting it exactly right. Then I close my eyes and take a breath, and they airbrush all different layers of color, so it doesn't just look plastic. Then they go in by hand and paint all the capillaries and all the wrinkles and bags under the eyes and such. And then I look like a very twisted, hairless man, and I go into another trailer that's the hair and makeup trailer, and that's when I get all of the hair stuff. So there's a big wig in the back and a top piece of the wig. There's a 3-part monobrow, 2 big long sideburns, and a little shaggy goatee.
Was it claustrophobic the first time for you? Like, are you
I
comfortable sitting still for a long time?
Yeah, because I think if I'm fidgety, it makes their work less effective. And I've always been a big Tom Savini Monster Makeup fan. I've always thought FX stuff was super cool. So one of the reasons I was drawn to this
Get to
role
do that,
is
yeah.
that I got to do that. And I'd done it before a couple times on How I Met Your Mother, but it was a bit of a one-off.
Right.
For an episode, I played old-timey Barney, and so I had prosthetics on. But I was very curious to see how my psyche would be doing it over and over and over and over. And in turn, it's actually a kind of nice meditation. If I'm still and thinking about what they're doing, kind of sending my energy towards success, then we get it done effectively and efficiently. So, and it also kind of calms my brain down. I can think about the lines that I'm working on. It's a very interesting gig.
You're
I have
not
to
like
say.
me. I would sleep. You're thinking about
I've slept a couple times.
Okay.
But it's hard because then when I need you to hold your breath and you're snoring, that's never cute.
No, it's not.
But it's a very interesting job because unlike any job that I've had, since it's Netflix, it has a level of quality and sophistication that you may not get with other content that is for a younger demographic as well as adults. And
got
since
the
we're,
money.
but they also use that money in creative and effective ways. And so they've given a lot of money to the production of this show, and inclusive of the way we look, the wardrobe and the makeup and stuff. But also, we're doing a feature film every 26 days or so. So, and we're doing 13 books. So we're doing, we're doing a lot of material, and yet it's Netflix quality. So you can't just bang it out. It's not factory work. It's Barry Sonnenfeld. I mean, he's prolific and very visual. So we're working hard, and it often feels to me like we're doing, like the perception may be that we're doing this kids show on Netflix. And while I respect kids a lot and have two of my own, I think what's good is that you can.
You're giving them.
That's the challenge for us, is to make it not just a single layer, but to have kids and adults be able to value it and appreciate it and gain stuff from it in different ways.
Do you have a favorite character that you inhabited? And like, who do you try modeling them after, like either real people or caricatures or anything?
It depended on the character. I usually got drawings, renderings of my face with different looks as a jumping off point. I'd give notes on that, and we'd come to somewhere in the middle. But no, they were all fun. I wanted vocally for them to be different. And Olaf in the books has a very high wheezing voice, and I couldn't wrap my brain around how to do that without sounding like I'm doing bad old man acting. I don't know how. I just don't know how you do it. And so my Olaf in turn is very very deep down here. So everything that he says is very low, like super low in my range. So then Stefano was the first character, so I had his voice go up.
So he talked like this the whole time and was like up in my nose.
And then there was Captain Sham, and he was a salty sea captain, so it only made sense for him to be sort of like Sean Connery losing his dentures. Sean Connery sans polygrip, where I kind of, always doing that. And he had an eye patch and a peg leg, and that was weird. And then Shirley, St. Ives, was a female, but I didn't really want to do falsetto voice because that seemed disrespectful.
Right.
So instead I kind of went Mad Men 1950s. Christina Hendricks, sort of like the secretary at the office that talks like this and says everything in kind of 1940s speak. And then season 2, there was a guy named Coach Genghis, wears a turban. So I went with a real PE coach, motivational speaker. And I was listening to S-Town, that podcast.
Yeah.
And it was great, and about this guy named John B. McElmayer. And he had this like a real specific way, like not only the voice that he spoke, but like his inflections.
Freaked me out.
So that was kind of what I did for him, because it seemed like that coach in elementary school that may not know that there are more than 47 states, but they'll paddle you if you disagree with their answer. So that was him. Then there was Gunther this year. He's sort of German and has shiny teeth, and he's an auctioneer, but he's not all German, so I got to go French or
And
Russian
his
sometimes.
suits was like.
It was very, the the styling was fun. Then my favorite probably was a dude named Detective Dupont. He was in the Vile Village episodes, which was in season 2. And his whole thing in the books was that he was just supposed to be a cool detective that comes into this very rules-laden town filled with crows everywhere. So he had bright shoes and a bright jacket and a cool hat and a gold tooth and chains and a badge. And I just thought would be fun to have Olaf think what would be Brooklyn hipster cool. And
Is this the one you modeled after the Cheetos mascot?
A little bit like the Cheetos. Yeah, baby. Cheetos are cool. Yeah, that Cheetos cat had those sunglasses and leaned way forward when he walked. It was that and a little bit of Jason Mraz, who I love. I'm friendly with Jason. I think his voice is angelic. But when you talk to Jason, he's, his voice, he holds his voice kind of up here. He's cool, right? He's up in this little world. And since Olaf's way down here like this, then I thought it would be cool to be talking about killing babies and children, but up here in this world. It was just all kinds of awful.
I'm trying to restrict my laughter because I don't want to ruin, overpower what you're doing because it's amazing. Did you bring that stuff home with your kids? And your kids are in season 2, right?
Yeah, they have a little day at work.
A little day at work.
They were visiting and David, my husband, got a small part in the movie, in the episodes. And they had a guy named Mr. Willem who's watching the carnival and commenting on it. And their child in the script was Little Trixie. So Rose, our producer, asked if Harper would want to be Little Trixie, and I said, no, that's a terrible, terrible idea. But then I thought that's probably not a good parental thing to say. So I said, well, let me ask Harper. I'm not her agent. I'm not just going to deny her that if she wants to. So I sat her down. Well, I also said, if you're going to do Little Trixie, you'd probably have to break it up. Yeah. Because they're twins. Yeah. So there's Little Trixie and Little Skip. And I asked them if they wanted to. I said, here's the deal. You get to see yourself on TV, which might be fun. You get to hang out with me at work, which would be fun, see what I do. At the same time, you're going to have to say the same thing over and over, and not just when you want to. When other people say you have to say it, you have to do it, and you have to do it for more than a couple hours. And your attention spans are not so good at 7. Yes. So if you're prepared for all that and you want to do it, that would be fun. And they thought it through and they said, okay. And they were just incredibly bored the whole time. Because I forgot to tell them that a lot of the shooting of this show, to speak camera talk, is that Barry likes to use lenses that are a wide, like a 21 millimeter lens, so that you can see a lot of the background and it's a short depth of field. And because of that, the actors really can't be off camera. You're looking at little pieces of tape.
All the time.
So if I'm looking at, no, the opposite. So if I'm looking at Louis Molina in the scene, for most of the time, I'm looking at little tiny square tapes of different colors that are right next to the lens, because if they were here, it would look like I was looking over here based on those lenses. I forgot to tell the kids that. So for most of the time, they're just looking at X's, which is for a 7-year-old is not, didn't quite get it.
They're like, Dad, we don't like this at the end of it. This isn't for us.
No, I thought
they liked it.
I wanted to treat it with respect and not encourage them to want to do more of this, and at the same time not try and spin it in a way that I try to just be as realistic as I could. They seem to have a good time. Who knows?
Good. You didn't yell at them.
I didn't yell at. Did I? No, I yelled at Gideon in the scene. Yeah, I did yell at him. That was a bonus.
Nice. We're gonna take some questions from fans. Someone on Facebook asked if you ever plan on returning to Broadway. I know it's a demanding schedule.
I would love to someday. I don't know. Many actors say it, but getting to perform to people who are actively watching you do it live is a much different feeling, is a much different energy. There's a real palpable sense when you're succeeding and the audience is pitch quiet. Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which I got to do a couple years back, was really great that way, because it was a rock and roll show and she was punk, and it was pretty much a one-woman show, and you could tell if you were hitting it right, and that would be different, would get so quiet, and you could literally, you could sense how focused they were, and that's a really interesting feeling. The drawbacks are that the time constraints are a lot, and I think our kids at 7 till a little bit older, we like to have family dinners at the house, and that's around 5 or 5:30, and then read them books and put them to bed. So I don't know that having a 7:30 half hour every night for 6 months would be fun.
Right. Well, and you have 2 sort of kid-centric shows that you're on in addition to
Yep.
a series of Unfortunate Events. You're on Genius Junior. You're the executive producer and the host.
I am, yeah.
Is that sort of spurred by I want to do things my kids can sort of watch and enjoy? Or?
So I'm aware of content for kids, and I want it to, again, to be smart. I don't know, I've seen a lot of shows for kids that are intentionally simplified to the point where I feel like kids get it. So I've always loved Jim Henson, that he was able to have Sesame Street be fun for adults as well as kids. And we work really hard on that with Series of Unfortunate Events, and I think kids deserve to be spoken to as active, regular people, as opposed to little kids who are super tender and delicate and not easily rattled. So Genius Junior is it's a great celebration. I think it's getting more and more positive attention because our attention to them is so positive.
Right.
It's really gobsmacking to watch these kids recite some of these things and do the things that they do, but they're not freaks of nature.
Yeah.
They're just smart. They've spent a lot of time focusing on literacy and really impressive skills that you could go to school and learn to do. It's kind of inspiring for kids.
Well, to that point, can you spell butterscotch backwards in 10 seconds?
Oh God, HCTO.
I should have put
S.
the clock on.
I already screwed it up. Oh, that's not right. That would be Salch.
When I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, I don't know how they do it.
Can you spell radar backwards?
Don't do this to me.
Go.
RADAR.
Boom, it's a palindrome.
I was like, I'm going to be found out. Okay, we have another question. A fan on Twitter wants to know, what is your favorite prop from the set, and have you ever taken anything home?
Oh, I take a prop home from almost everything that I do. And for Series of Unfortunate Events, I'm really hoping to get one of the spy glasses.
Oh, nice.
But we all found out how much they cost to make. So I don't think anyone's going to be getting one, but perhaps I could get one of the plastic stunt
Maybe
ones
one
or
can
something.
accidentally fall.
Yeah,
and
that
then
would
it's,
be,
yeah.
that would be super nice.
Robert on Facebook asks, how much do you improvise during filming, and who is your favorite actor to improvise with?
Wow, that's a great question. I've always, as much as I'm a mad, passionate fan of improv actors and what they do, crazy much, I think that once you're on set with an actual script that actual writers and
you want to be respectful.
you want to be respectful of the source of the material. In fact, Stephen Bochco, who produced Doogie, Howser, MD, was very specific that it had to be word perfect every scene. So that's kind of what I have learned to do, is say it the way it's written. And then now that I'm older, I appreciate that you don't want to just say it the same way every single time, because you're giving the editor the same performance 9 times in a row. So I'll give them 5 of exactly the same, and then maybe improvise a line, and if they like it, then they'll say, great, say that again. So I try and give them some options, but also try and respect the source. Who's most fun to play with? That's a great question. Lucy Punch is great. Joan Cusack is back in the show. She's super fun. Tony Hale was amazing. You can always play with him, and he'll play right back. Who else? What a great question. Allison Williams.
Oh, yeah.
She's sharp as a tack.
Good question.
I don't think we're allowed to say who she is yet.
No.
So
We won't go there.
she's awesome.
You gave me a segue because...
I gave you one of those little robot car things that you don't have to...
No, I wish. I've never driven one. You talked about Doogie Howser, and I remember reading Stephen Bochco's book, and he talked a little bit about that. I didn't know, like, he was the one that really advocated for you to be on this show. Like,
kind of, yeah. Well, it was just strange. I got to meet him for this before the script had been written. He had the idea, and...
he said he saw you in Clara's Heart. Did you know? Yeah.
I did Clara's Heart.
Yeah.
But I was friendly with the casting director, a gentleman named Bob Harbin, who was the cast director for ABC at the time. And so I got to go in and meet with Steven really early on. And it was a nice meeting, but I wasn't auditioning or reading sides or anything. We just talked, and I was 15 years old. So nice to meet you, bye. And then I think when they were starting to cast it, I wasn't the first choice because I'd met him too prematurely. He was looking for something else. And they did this massive casting search. They finally swung back around, and I ended up getting the job. And when I went to set, the search had gone on so long that crew members were wearing T-shirts that say, "I'll play Doogie Howser," because I hadn't cast him yet. So I was ready. I'm glad it worked out for me.
What do you remember about that experience? I mean, you were, like you said, 15.
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, it was heroin, all heroin. Just kidding. No, I remember so much. That was, 15 turning 16. That was most of my high school years.
It?
I was just proud that it was good work, to be honest. It was single camera and not multi-camera, so I think I developed good habits, and it was a great education, having different directors, saying adult dialogue, being asked to perform to a level above what you would normally be asked to do was challenging, but what a great challenge, right? So it kind of gave me a skill set that I was able to use in different ways as I kept on working. And I'm just proud of that show, and it had good morals. Again, it was interesting, right? It's another show that families could watch together.
Oh yeah, we watched it like religiously.
Without having to be a kid's show.
We waited for the computer thing.
Yeah, right?
Do you get asked most often if you would do Doogie Howser again, or How to Get, or
How I Met Your Mother?
How I Met Your Mother. I was going to say How to Get Away with Murder.
How to Get Away with Murder. I would do How to Get Away with Murder. For sure.
For sure. But yeah, with this reboots craze, what do you most often get asked about? And would you?
Thankfully, I think neither of those shows have any merit or reason to continue on.
Bring Doogie back as an adult.
Well, you could bring anything back,
Yeah.
but the whole point of that show was that he was a child prodigy, and he was balancing an adult work life with the emotional well-being of a teenager, and how those things clash. How
maybe as a kid.
well, yeah, but you could say, well, maybe he has a kid, like any show. It's
That's,
Knight Rider.
That's what we get,
but
though.
these cars are kind of.
We get like, well, maybe they have a kid.
We have Teslas now. It's kind of, that is kind of Kit the car in the Knight Rider. Yeah, but he could have a kid.
That's as simple as it goes, though. Sometimes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, we're gonna.
Happily working on other projects. So.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Let's do a lightning round.
Oh. Okay.
Get ready.
Oh, I mean, you move with questions. Okay.
Last show you binge watched.
Oh. Went all the way through all of them really quickly. Black Mirror.
If you could go back and be on any TV show ever, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. How fast is this lightning round so far? I'm supposed to be answering them really quickly.
We'll edit it.
Ever? Carol Burnett Show.
A lot of people watch TV to unwind. What do you do to unwind?
I've been playing a lot of VR.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm into that.
What do you know now that you wish you knew on your first acting job?
That it's probably more important to commit to being who you are, and if they don't cast you, they're casting someone else, and that's okay, and not try to be who you think they want you to be, because that's a mind F.
Yes, it is. That's a good one. Have you ever been fired from an acting job?
I have.
Really?
For sure, yeah.
You want to share? No.
I don't know what good comes from sharing it. I was the animated voice on a couple movies, and about halfway through, apparently, I stunk.
Whatever.
Whatever, right?
Which Golden Girls character do you most identify with?
I'm not a Golden Girls gay. I
like that you're finding it.
Who's the
Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, or Sophia?
Who's the really old one? Was that Sophia?
Like in real life, or
No, the old,
yeah,
the mom.
Sophia.
I'd be Blanche. I don't know.
Perfect answer.
Who's the sexy one?
That's Blanche. Yeah.
I'd be Blanche. Hello. I'm wearing a vest. I don't know what that means.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
That's it? That was a lightning round?
That was a lightning round.
Okay, cool.
It just, flew by.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
And if you want to catch more of our Emmy chats, head over to latimes.com.